Welcome to the Minimalist Educator Podcast, a podcast about paring down to refocus on the purpose and priorities in our roles, with co-hosts and co-authors of the Minimalist Teacher Book, Tammy Musiowski-Borneman and Christine Arnold.
In this week's episode, we speak with Craig Rudolph. Craig is the owner of School is Easy Tutoring in Edmonton. So we get to have a think about what tutoring is like and how it can enhance what we do in education. School is Easy Edmonton is a home-based tutoring franchise that has helped over 800 students in the 8 years they have been in business. They can provide in-person tutoring around parent schedules by one of their thoughtful, compassionate teachers.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's episode of the Minimalist Educator Podcast. Today, we are talking to Craig Rudolph, who is the owner of School is Easy Tutoring, and someone I've known for a long time, like 30 plus years. So it's nice to have someone from the past on the show. But before we get started talking to Craig, how are you today, Christine?
I'm doing very well. I'm excited to be interviewing today and to meet one of your old friends.
Yeah, me too. How you doing, Craig?
Very well. I have the same sentiment. It's nice to see you again.
Yeah, for sure. So, I mean, a lot's gone on since we've seen each other 30-ish years ago.
That's impossible.
I know, it's crazy because we're 29. But besides, seeing each other on Facebook and that kind of stuff, you've done a lot with starting a business. And was it during COVID or when did you start School is Easy Tutoring?
Yes, it was 2017. So okay. I bought it in April 2017, but was up and operational September of 2017.
Okay.
So we had a couple years under our belt before COVID.
Oh, that's good. And so what made you decide to go into the tutoring business?
Well, funny thing, I was in banking and I wasn't really enjoying it anymore. So I thought I had to make a major life change. So I sold my ATB agency, but I always used to tutor math on the side. So I really found out that I loved tutoring and I was enjoying it more than my real job. So I'm like, well, maybe I can find something, in the tutoring industry. So I went to a franchise page, looked at all the different franchises and opportunities, and I saw School's Easy, read kind of their mantra, what they're all about, something about the original owner, and it was fascinating. So I got in touch with her and all the pieces kind of just fell together after that.
And I can see you guys offer online and in-person tutoring as well. What do you think are the main benefits to the two different types of tutoring that you can offer?
Well, pre-COVID, there was a lot more online. Post-COVID, obviously, with most of learning being online, there's been a switch to almost exclusively in person. But being honest, I don't really even like offering online to grades 1 through 6. I think it's somewhat of a disservice because it's really tough. We've seen how tough it is where kids are getting pushed through grades and maybe they weren't ready, through the COVID years. Those kids are really struggling. So, I mean, if a parent's really got their heart set on it, we can still do it to the best of our abilities. But, for high school age kids, they're so savvy, with technology and whiteboards and, they can do online and it's not a huge issue. But most people we find from parents, they want in person. They want you right there. They like the human touch. They like, they can observe. And because our rule is if you're under 18, a parent has to be present. Unless you're in a library or like a social setting, then they can go and buy groceries or whatever and come back. But for anything in home, the parents have to be present, which is good. And yeah, that seems to be probably 85. I think last I checked, there's about 85% of all our tutoring is in person.
Wow. That's awesome. But yeah, particularly because of having lived through the pandemic and being so disconnected from people for such a long time, to know that people are really wanting to be together in person, it changes the experience for sure. So I was going to ask you a business question, but then you mentioned that the parents are at the in-person sessions for, if they're at home or whatever. And so I wondered how does that change the experience for the students? Or are they just sitting there passively? I'm interested.
Passively, yes. Yeah. So they just legally, they have to be in the same room.
Okay.
So I always, like, some of these families get so comfortable with the tutor. They've been there 6-7 years, but we can't deviate from having a parent there. That's a legality. And I mean, typically the parents are on their phone or watching TV or something, or, they're not actively interfering with the lessons. Maybe with the younger kids, the parents will help, with the interactions or whatever they're doing. Grades 1, 2, 3, or whatever. And the tutors don't mind that, really. We've never seen where the tutor have come to me and say, "Oh, this parent's just poking their nose into all our lessons." And they've already tried tutoring their own child, and it's failed. So they're happy to step back and let somebody else do it. And in that same vein, I always find this comical, but we'll get math teachers that are incredible math teachers, and they can't teach their own child math because they just fight the whole time. So a math teacher will phone me to get a math tutor. I just find that ironic.
Oh yeah, that makes total sense to me. It's such a different relationship dynamic, isn't it, between parent and child and teacher and so on, for sure. Absolutely. I'm wondering, I'm still in a school full time. I'm teaching as well as working with curriculum. I'm wondering, what is the impetus for people coming to you to seek out tutoring for their kids? What are the main reasons why people want something more than just school for their children?
Okay, that's a loaded question. I can give you a lot of reasons. I would say for the younger kids, it's reading and writing. They're behind a couple grades in the most basic of, linguistics and literacy. Then you'll get to grade 12 where we need a certain mark to get into university or trade school. We're at a 75, we need an 80, help us. We have people that just want an ongoing tutor 52 weeks a year, once a week, just for maintenance. Their students may already be excellent students, but the parents want to keep them excellent. And, we're there every week, year round, without fail. And then there's the student that is failing, that needs to pass to move on to the next grade. So you're bringing them from a 45 or whatever. If you just get to that 50, everybody's happy. Maybe it's not a subject they need to move on in whatever they're doing in future, but they got to pass that class. So that's vital. And some students with learning disabilities, a lot of students have autism, dysgraphia, dyslexia. So they're looking for experts that can help with that. Some of our classroom sizes are over 30 students now. So there's no one-on-one extra help from the schools. And I don't blame the schools. I don't blame the teachers. It's pandemonium right now here. I hope I don't get in trouble for saying that, but it's extremely difficult for the teachers. I'm very empathetic to them. So the parents need extra help because, they just can't provide that extra help for so many students of so many different learning requirements. It's impossible.
Yeah, for sure. It's too much. There's not enough teachers in the system to be able to, we need smaller class sizes so teachers can get to know their students well and provide the support that's needed. And you mentioned that you have a number of students with diagnosed learning disabilities or on the spectrum. And so how do you navigate that as like an outside provider with the schools? Do you have a relationship with the schools, or is it very separate? Do you have contact? Because there's a lot of stakeholders at play, or school community members, because you're working with the children, the parents, finding out what's happening at school, and then if they have a document that's attached legally, and then you come in as a outside source. So what's that like, kind of navigating all that?
Okay, well, I will say this, we hire tutors as subcontractors. So I'm not really their boss per se, but I find them the students. But if they say they're an expert in, say, dyslexia, I need a reference related to tutoring that they are, for starters. I'll send them out on a student, and I really have a one-strike policy. If they say they're an expert in it, they better be an expert in it, have at least 2 years of experience, impeccable references, do what they say they can do. But they have to have the experience and get the feedback from the parents right away. After a couple lessons, typically, if they really can do what they're talking about. But it hasn't been a problem. I find just being really honest with the tutors and them being really honest with me, you can kind of filter out who's kind of over expanding on their resume or embellishing a bit on the resume. Because parents and students will know they're the greatest decider of that. So almost all our tutors, though, have some kind of experience. It's just so prevalent in the school system with diagnosing learning disabilities that I would say the vast majority of ours have at least worked with ADHD, most with autism. Some of the more complicated ones like dysgraphia, maybe not so much. That would take, an expert. That we only have 4 or 5 of those. But we do our best. And if it's certainly not a match, we refund their money and find them another tutor right away.
I'd love to hear a little bit more about the tutors themselves. Are they people that are, working full-time in schools and doing this on the side? Are they doing just the tutoring? What sort of people are doing it, and what's the benefits for them?
Yeah, it's essentially supplemental income. So our minimum requirement is 2 years experience, past criminal record check, of course. We don't want to send criminals into people's homes. At least 2 references from a student they've tutored or the parent, and then 2 references, educational references. And then they got to meet with me too. So just trusting my own instincts, meeting them. So that's our criteria. But what do all these teachers do? Okay, yes, current teachers for sure. Some of them do it because they love it and they just want a couple students a week. Some do need the supplemental income. Times are tough in Alberta. Tammy probably hears it from everybody. It's
I do.
Yeah, it's been tough here. Inflation's tough everywhere, but it's been a pinch. So lots of the teachers do want to work for the extra income. And then in the math department, I get a lot of engineers and brilliant math teachers. Some have 20, 30 years of math experience, know the curriculum inside and out. They can teach a little bit of chemistry, physics, general science. But my engineers are awesome math tutors. My tutor of the year this year, David, is a 6-year chemical engineering student, and he just wants to start paying off his student loans, and he loves tutoring. So he takes on like 20, 30 hours a week of tutoring. I don't know how he does it. He's an amazing guy. Plus his studies. But he loves tutoring too. So it's not a job to him. He loves it. But like he must work 60, 70 hours a week, counting his homework and everything, because he's in a tough program as well. So we do let students, but they have to be at least 3rd year university. We don't really want anybody too young, to be honest. That's kind of our criterion. And retired teachers, fantastic. And most of them just do it because they love it too, right? We have up until a 70-year-old lady, Cynthia. She's an amazing tutor. She's good with the younger kids, literacy. They're very comfortable around her, She's just a warm, welcoming person in your home. So, and then everything in between for, people that are exceptional in that subject matter. So maybe if it's biology, it's a biologist, or, you don't necessarily have to have an education degree to teach, as you know, but they have to know the curriculum. That's without fail. You have to know the curriculum. Ultimately, we're trying to get the students either how to read or better marks or, something tangible. But yeah, we've had tutors from all backgrounds. We certainly don't restrict it.
That's awesome to be able, because there's just so many different needs too, right? You have a lot of families coming to you with, all kinds of needs, all kinds of, like you had mentioned before, just like the little bumps up or the enrichment and all of that. So it's awesome to have such a wide range of people to choose from and have in your bank. I'm going to switch gears a little bit because I'm also a business owner. And Christine and I talk a lot to people about their systems and like how to keep track of everything. Because I mean, you're navigating families and their needs, and then you have that business aspect that you have to take care of too. So do you have a couple of main things in your system, or like a kind of a streamlined way of doing things to make sure everything that you're on top of everything?
You darn rights we do. It's done through our franchise. So it's a website called Opus, and it will, so once we enter the parent and the student and the teacher in there, when we make a match, we can link the student to the teacher, and the parents can enter, their credit card information in there. And after every lesson, it's incumbent on the tutor to write a lesson report. Was a student engaged? Was progress made? What were we working on? Was homework assigned? So instantaneous feedback that gets sent to the parent. If it's an older student, then they can be involved with that process too, where they get a student note that the parent doesn't necessarily have to see. And then we bill them right after the lesson, bill their credit card, send them a receipt, because we do have a pay-as-you-go program where they don't have to sign a long-term contract, which differentiates us quite a bit from other places. Because typically some other businesses, you have to buy a 40-hour block or, a 2-month term to start. But we find, what if people just need some cramming before a final exam? They might only need 4 or 5 hours. And that's it. But then they might refer you down the road to their neighbor, or, that student has a sibling that needs help later. So it's a good service to do that. But yeah, everything's streamlined. So as long as my tutors enter their lessons into Opus, payroll's really easy because it's already tracked all their hours that they've entered. I can pull out my revenue versus what I've paid the tutors and get an idea what I made that month. Yeah, there's like 169 reports on there. So I think I only use 15 of them, but yeah, it's a very efficient system. That's where it's nice having a little bit of IT help, because I am by no means an IT guy. I'm a marketer, essentially.
Really, I was just going to say it's helpful to have a franchise then, right? Because those pieces are built in for you. Whereas like my business is not. And so it's like, I had to figure everything out from the beginning.
I'd be doomed. Yeah.
Yeah. Like just figuring it all out still, honestly, after a few years. So anyway, thanks for sharing that, Bill Craig.
No, of course. And I should say this, they're not intrusive on us. They're an awesome franchise. We have a marketing guy, we have an IT guy, but they let us run our own businesses. So, somebody in Dubai is going to have a way different business model than me here in Edmonton, even to Vancouver, to Florida, right? So all they're doing is helping, but they're not telling, which is awesome.
That's good.
We just work in unison together. There's no hard, fast, there's rules and obviously regulations and representing the company well, but they just give you guidelines that'll make you be more successful, and I'm happy to follow them. They're the experts.
Yeah, awesome.
Sounds like there's so many cool things going on there, with your systems and having the opportunity to do one-on-one, giving the parents feedback and the kids feedback straight away. All of those systems are awesome. I'm wondering, what do you think is the special sauce that makes a tutoring situation really, really successful?
I would say that we're very human. Lots of these companies, you can only contact them by text or email. You can't get a person on the phone even, which is insane to me, because is there anything more personal than your child's learning? Like, I can't imagine me booking a tutor without ever meeting the tutor or talking to the tutor or having a consultation with the tutor and breaking down exactly what you want. I don't want to go back and forth on email or texting doing that. Like, I want a face to the company. We're like a family business. We're out. I do events almost every weekend. Me and my family are out pounding the pavement, doing door knockers. We visit schools all the time. Lots of our content's family based because we are a family business. This is all we do. It's our only source of income. So it's extremely important to say the least. And our program's obviously good because we don't make you sign, like I said, those long-term contracts. So we're one of the few places that do pay as you go. And we just sit back and let the parents tell us what they want. It's not, some places have their own curriculum and you have to be at a certain place at a certain time teaching a certain thing. We just sit back and I just close my mouth and I let the parents tell us exactly what they want, when they want us, where they want us, what they want to work on, personality traits of the student. You'll hear where, the student came home and they were crying and they got a bad mark and they want to get into university, and it really humanizes the business. And you really want to help these people. It's trying to find the right tutors that care, that are thoughtful. They're going to be patient. It's a certain type of person that I would say we hire. And you can tell if people aren't genuine in it. The first thing they're asking me is, how much do I get paid? When do I get paid? When do I get a raise? How do you pay me? Red flag alert. Of course, money's part of it, but I have to know that they genuinely care and they're going to, do the best they can to help these students and be prepared and show up and, have a game plan and know the curriculum, of course, is vital.
Yeah. So we're kind of getting near the end of our episode, and at the end of our episodes, we always ask our guests for a pair down pointer. And I feel like what you just said kind of is already that. But the pair down pointer is like essentially what's like one tip or strategy in all that you do that just makes you guys successful?
Well, answer the phone. I mean, things like that, or if you think people come up to you at a show and stuff, like be available. Yeah. Is huge because lots of these places don't get back for you for 2 or 3 days. Instantaneously get back to people. So if I get an online inquiry, if I can't get to it, I'll get to it as soon as I get home and respond to people. Be genuine. I mean, there's times you can't help people. Maybe we don't have the tutor, but I'll always point them in another direction, even to a competitor if I have to. Just try to get them the help because they'll appreciate that and they may circle back to you. Regardless, if the student ended up learning and having a good experience, that's really all we want. And you show that, that's always good. I don't see a lot of other companies out in the community doing things and giving stuff back and doing farmers markets and stuff. I do a zillion of them. It's pretty fun. I love it. Then you're meeting somebody in person, maybe the student or the parent or a tutor that you hire. So it's kind of nice. It's like a first meeting right away and you just have a discussion and more just listening to what people want instead of telling them what they want. I think that's massive. And then being able to make that match right away. So we say within 48 hours, we can have somebody in place with you. If we can't, we'll try to guide you in the right direction. But 99 times out of 100, we're able to do that.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thanks. That's a lot of great tips, like the listening, the being available, because you do, it's clear that you want to make sure that people's needs are getting met. So I did remember what I was going to mention. It was the your family related posts, I think, are really a great way for people to connect to you, right, as a business owner, and just sharing like your little ones are like, I forget your kids' names, but it's like so-and-so's like answering the phone today, like just really cute. So yeah, thanks for sharing that. Christine, did you want to say anything else as we wrap up?
No, we talk to so many different people in the field of education doing lots of different roles. And it's amazing how it always keeps coming back to relationships and communication. Like it's always the same sort of themes coming out, no matter what roles people have in education, that human touch, that, being trustworthy and extending trust to people is just at the heart of so much of what we do. And we're hearing it again here today. So thank you for that, Craig.
Yeah. Thanks so much, Craig, for being with us today.
Yeah, you're welcome. Absolutely.
This episode is brought to you by School is Easy Edmonton. Discover the difference a tutor can make in Edmonton. Find out more at schooliseasy.com/Edmonton.
Be sure to join Tammy and Christine and guests for more episodes of the Minimalist Educator podcast. They would love to hear about your journey with minimalism. Connect with them at PlanZPLS on Twitter or Instagram. The music for the podcast has been written and performed by Gaia Moretti.